Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Tiffany Cook of Convergent Science, and today we are hosting one of our valued HPC partners, TotalCAE. They provide public and private cloud solutions to support CONVERGE CFD simulations. And with that being said, I'd like to introduce our presenter today. His name is Antonio Guglielmetti, and he is the sales director there at TotalCAE. Also, I'd like to mention, if you have any questions, please type them in the question box, and Antonio or Rod, or if it's a Converge question, we'll follow up with you if we have time at the end, or privately via email or a phone call. So with that being said, I'm going to pass the control over to Antonio, and he will take it from there.
Excellent. Thanks, Tiffany, for setting this up. We appreciate the opportunity to talk about some of our solutions within HPC for Converge. We have many current Converge customers that are running on our solutions, and we will get started here. So we have TotalCAE, we have over 20 years of 19, 20 years experience in HPC, specifically in the CAE environments, the CFD environments, dealing with Converge basically. And most of our customers are in the automotive space, aerospace, some of the wind turbines. A lot of customers that running Converge and trying to speed up their models basically. And we've gone to a point where the only way that you can speed up your models is to kind of scale them out, more of the divide and conquer strategy, and break up these models and utilize these HPC solutions to help speed up their models, get their results back faster, so they can impact the design sooner in the process. So in that, we actually manage all of the HPC solutions for companies. We've kind of become their IT department. Many of the barriers that we see are within the IT organizations and trying to set up, maintain, not necessarily just the HPC themselves, but also when Converge releases a new model, how does it tie into the existing HPC, the OS, MPI, basically that entire stack we manage for our customers. We have many customers that also have dedicated IT personnel on site that is responsible for managing that solution, and then we can help become their back-end support for any heavy lifting or any type of consulting work that they may ask us to do on for certain questions that they can't answer. So we are dedicated to basically managing all of the engineering HPC cluster environments for on-premise and cloud computing solutions. So I'm sure as many know, these large HPC solutions are much like a puzzle piece. So if you're missing one piece, whether it's a bug in a security bug, patch, OS, missing MPI layers, anything like that, you can't complete the puzzle. And oftentimes, the hardware vendors kind of will sell you something, and then they jump out of the plane, and then you're forced to fly the plane on your own. Invariably, workflow changes, the way you submit changes, the number of the Converge models change, and you end up in a situation where the plane's kind of tangled, and then the users themselves, the engineers, or oftentimes even IT, is kind of left shaking their head. They're trying to figure out what to do next. So with TotalCAE, we actually draw a circle around that entire HPC stack, and we say anything that happens in that environment is our fault. So we are your one throat to choke. So whether if the job dies, if there's a hardware issue, any workflow issues, if you add a new user and you want to basically allow them to run on a certain number of cores, we are the one throat to choke. So anything within that HPC solution we like to say is our responsibility. It's our fault. So there's no finger pointing between hardware, software vendors, anything like that. So we provide all of the basically white glove service for those solutions. So that's the high level. I want to take you into some case studies, and then I also have a video that I'd like to show that that you can actually see submitting a job through our web portal and some of our tools that we've built for Converge. So the first one, many of our customers come to us and say, we really want to speed up our models. We just need our current desktop workstation solution is way too slow. It takes a couple days, and by that time, the results change, and the business changes, things like that. So most of our customers, this customer in particular, just wanted a way to speed up their solution, and in the meantime, they didn't have any in-house expertise because they were working on workstations, so they wanted us to completely manage that solution for them, help them out, and from the engineering IT perspective, and basically just give them a solution that was turnkey, that helped them meet their targets, meet their deadlines, and help them, with faster time to market for some of their new products. So their old runtime, they were running on truly pretty old workstations. Took them 2 days to run certain jobs, and then and even in their case, they complained that it would take them 2 days to figure out, or even if their answers were correct or wrong, and then run more jobs. So and they could only run one at a time. Each user had one workstation. So by putting in this was an on-premise private cloud solution that the customer themselves bought, and then we put our stack on it, coupled with Converge. They use our tools to submit the jobs and get the jobs back. We were able to scale out those jobs, and their new runtimes were, I think, is just under 2 hours actually, and it's almost 2 days worth of runtimes that we saved them. So some of the advantages on the private cloud that we see, it's highly reliable, scalable, and it's always available. Even if there's people running on it, if there's a hot job, so to speak, that you needed to run immediately, you could kill the jobs that are running on that on-premise solution and then run. So it's, quite frankly, it's the cheapest and fastest, most consistent way to run jobs if you're running 24/7. So most of our customers, I'd say most of the Converge customers, engineering is a core competency of their business. So they're going to be running more than once a week, once a month. Most of our customers are running 24/7 or close to it. So on-premise solution is definitely the cheapest, and I'll run you through some of the scenarios in a couple minutes here. Some of the disadvantages, though, and I'm sure people have seen this, is the long procurement cycles. So a lot of times, there's a lot of moving parts and pieces to it. So a lot of individuals and groups need to touch it, approve it, see it, and really sign off on the fact that is this private cloud solution, is spending capital really going to help us in the long run. And then the other challenges are having a viable IT team or someone to run it. It's kind of like buying a really nice car, Ferrari or something, and you can't drive a stick shift. Kind of defeats the purpose. So there are definitely some challenges in the private cloud solutions. And then if there's no data center, obviously that's building an entire data center is not cost effective either. I would say most of our customers have data centers and power and cooling that are capable of running these solutions, but for large scale systems, it's definitely something that you don't want to build a brand new data center for. So this customer is actually is more of the looking for the public cloud. They had an immediate project and they're trying to win new business. So this was a little different. They called us. They're an existing customer, and they said that we want to bid on this new project, but we don't have the HPC resources on site. It'll take us way too long to get it on site through our procurement cycle. So we just want to try and bid on it, do some of the work, and spin up some cloud instances for a couple weeks. And while that's happening, if we win the job, if we win that project, we'll bring the rest of the HPC on site because it'll be cheaper in the long run. They also didn't want to have to relearn new tools or new interface. So this is a key difference in our platform. It's truly a platform that spans from on-premise to cloud computing. The users themselves are always using the same tools to submit the jobs, and there's really no change in workflow. And in this case, their solution is we spun them up a cloud cluster with all of their identical workflow, all of their users, the the interface that I discussed, and I will show you here in a second. And basically, they just pointed their browser from an on-premise solution to the cloud cluster, ran their jobs. They were able to win that business, and then as soon as they found out they won that project, we moved that solution on site, and they won the multi-year contract, brought that back on site, and they're still running simulations for that business, for that project currently. So this is the private cloud interface that they use. So this particular customer has our entire stack. So this is how they submit jobs. You can see, you can basically, select the solver version, number of cores. The quality of service basically is, if you have priority. So if you want to have some of your senior level engineers or maybe management run, or have the ability to skip the queue, or be first in line, so to speak, you can do that. You can wait to hold the jobs till Friday. So some of our customers will bog down, so to speak, the whole solution. They'll run on every single core on Friday, from Friday to Sunday, because they know that it's not going to affect anyone else's day-to-day jobs. But on Monday they'll get that big job that they couldn't do during the week, and they're able to do that. So that's their private cloud solution and how they submit. And if you notice, this is their public cloud. So the only thing that changes on this page is the URL. We want to make sure that there's kind of a conscious decision to move to the public cloud, because it does cost money, so to speak. We want the engineer to make sure, the user to make sure that submitting to the public cloud is like a different way of doing it. They will get a bill associated with that from either AWS or Azure, or the other cloud providers. So I think this is one of the key differentiators with TotalCAE is that the workflow and the tools, the interface, everything that the user interacts with to submit converged jobs doesn't change on a day-to-day basis, whether they're running on premise or in the cloud. And the other nice part is we don't lock you into using the web portal. So some web portals you have to submit from the web portal. You can't submit any way else. This basically just provides a batch script on the back end that some of our power users can go and edit the batch scripts and with different arguments and things. So we've seen quite many of our users like that, because not everyone's the same. Some people, and we don't want to lock anyone into a workflow change. So if you have customers or if you have users that like to be on the command line and write the batch scripts out, they can certainly do that as well. Also baked into our portal is our Viz server. So this allows you to do remote access work. So if you're at home or on a business trip, you can log into the cluster, check out the jobs. This will launch Converge with Converge's UI, and then basically you can remote into the solution. And also it reduces the data movement. So if you're in California and your home cluster is in Michigan or in Detroit, you can basically submit jobs on the cluster. The data stays within the cluster, just moves the pixels back, and it's all baked into our portal as well. So there's there's nothing that you need to download, no plugins, add-ons, anything like that. It's just straight through a web browser. So you don't need to update everyone's computer every time a new version comes out or anything like that. It's all right through our private cloud or URL. So the advantages, there are many advantages of the public cloud. The easiest one, obviously, is just flip it on and off. It's easiest, putting down a credit card. Most customers have some type of limit discretionary fund that they can run a certain number of cores, or basically a certain number of dollars on the public cloud. It's very easy to turn on and off. There's really no barrier except for the IT part, but that's where we come in. Basically, you would call us and say, or submit a ticket and say, I want to spin up 48 cores with Converge this version, or if you want us to just create your on-premise environment into the cloud, we can do that and open up the ticket, and we basically flip the switch, and you're ready to go. So there's really no work on the end user or the end customer's perspective. They just submit the ticket of what they want, and a turnkey solution pops up, and we give you the URL, and you can run on the public cloud. So there are many disadvantages as well. We actually have been in meetings where on a month-to-month basis, the charge changes. So the CIO comes to us and says, "Wow, we spent more money this month than last month on compute. We need to stop simulation," because they see it as it comes up as an operating expense on the balance sheet, rather than an asset that they're trying to utilize more, like on-premise. So the pricing model is a bit complex as well. It sounds really cheap, 5 cents a core hour, for basically, or 6 cents a core hour for 5 nodes. You think that's pretty cheap? After 3 years, if you're running 24/7 or close to it, you could have basically bought yourself a Ferrari, and essentially, you can buy a 5-node cluster for much cheaper than 5 nodes. And then the argument is a lot of companies are moving to operating expense. You can lease on-premise solutions and move that to operating expense as well. But one of the other major disadvantages is just the bandwidth, bringing that data back. So we've actually seen a lot of runs where the run times aren't bad. The run times are actually within 5-10% of an on-premise solution. It's just bringing that data back. It's the total time taken for that solution. So many times bringing the data back actually takes longer than running the simulation itself. So we have a hybrid strategy that we typically use, and it kind of says, let's buy, or the private cloud is supposed to be for constant usage, and for medium or short-term peak, we can definitely run on the cloud. But from a pricing perspective and cost perspective, it's just much cheaper to use the private cloud. The company itself buys the on-premise solution, utilizes that 90% of the time, or 100% of the time at 90% utilization, and that's much cheaper than buying for peak on-premise, and it also is much cheaper than using the cloud solution, public cloud, to run 24/7. So that's kind of what we say, and this is actually taken from an actual customer of Busy Free. So they're at around 90% utilization, and then they actually run a couple thousand cores on the cloud as well for peak. So typically there's about a 2 to 3 month break-even period that we see. So again, this is running 24/7. So if you're running an in-house solution and at 20 cents per core hour, basically if you're running an instance that's 20 cents per core hour at about 2 to 3 months, you actually could have bought that server itself and put it on premise. So that's the break-even that we see. And we have a couple other tools that help within the engineering environment for backing up some storage data. And we have some customers that need to store hundreds of terabytes of work in progress, but basically they can't use IT backups. Engineers are doing it themselves, and they wanted to be able to self-recover these files in a secure way and in an automated way as well. So we actually created a solution called TotalCAE StorageCamel, which follows our 3-2-1 backup strategy that has 3 copies of the data in 2 different on-site medias, with one of those copies being offsite in the cloud. And then basically, the secure client encrypted on the front end, and you can store hundreds of gigs, up to a petabyte for pennies per gigs, and it's completely automatic. So we try and make all of our workflow automated, as much workflow as possible, and then this is just another piece of that, so the engineer can recover their own files and automatically from AWS. So if your data center burns down, it's great if you have 10 copies of the data, but if it's all in the same data center, you're kind of defeats the purpose. So this moves that data from typically from disk to disk, and then disk to cloud or disk to tape. and then disk to cloud. And then also another one of our exciting products, we have some reporting tools, so this will help. You can see from a managerial perspective, who's using the solution, the average number of cores you're using, how long, what dates, so you can kind of monitor some of your licensing and reporting from a personal, from an engineering user level. So I want to show you a quick video here that shows how we submit from the TotalCAE web portal. Now, I don't know if the sound will show. Or here, let me.
TotalCAE Private Cloud is a simple to use high-performance computing appliance that sits in your data center and is managed by TotalCAE IT professionals around the clock, so your engineers can work more productively and have a reliable and easy-to-use tool to reduce the runtime of your jobs from days down to hours. Let's take a look at how we can get started. The first thing that your engineer is going to do is just have to log in and then select the model. Then push submit, and within 2 clicks, they're starting to do high-performance computing with, in this case, Converge. Now you can have more advanced options, which we won't go over in this session, where you can choose priority, you can hold jobs into the future, at a future date, select the number of cores, queues, and a vast variety of other types of configuration that you may want to do. Once your job is submitted, you may want to see how it's running. You can see which nodes you're running on. You can get helpful messages if your job is not running. Perhaps you don't have enough licensing currently available, so the job will queue and it will tell you not enough available licensing. You can also add helpful comments. For example, maybe you have a job that is urgent or want to leave notes for you or other users. You can put comments in when you submit your job that are be visible to the rest of your teammates. You can also see how many licenses you have available, so when you're submitting and you don't want to have your job queued because you've selected too many licensing, you can look at this option to see who's using the licenses and how many you have. You can also see the compute nodes that you have available. For example, the green nodes here are free. You have 16 total compute nodes. These ones in gray are busy. If you want to see how your job's behaving, just to see how much memory and CPU it may be using, you can click on and see the CPU usage over time to help you monitor your job. Once your job is complete, you're going to get an email saying it either finished successfully or not, and then you can post-process this on your workstation just using your standard post-processing tools with a letter drive where all your data will show up just on your PC. You can also choose, though, to use our Viz server. For example, our optional TotalCAE public cloud also uses the Viz server so that you don't have to bring the data back. You can actually do the pre and post processing right next to the data. You have a little snapshot here of your desktop. You just click on it, and you're logged in through the browser into your desktop. There's no plugins required, no extra software on your workstation, just an HTML5 browser, and you're able to launch, in this case, Converge Studio, any OpenGL application, any type of engineering apps, standard Linux options like this terminal. You can do all of that and interact with it just like it was a local PC. Now, the benefit of this is that your data is sitting on the cluster and the Viz server is sitting next to the cluster, so you can get high-performance access to your data without perhaps waiting for it to down. For customers that need to back up this work that's been just done, like work in progress, many customers face a challenge that they have hundreds of terabytes of work in progress that they have sitting on RAID storage but not really protected. They don't have backups. They may choose to copy that data in secure thumb drives or other ways to protect it. But if they accidentally delete a model or something, a disaster happens where the storage server dies, they don't really have a way to get that data recovered quickly. StorageCamel is a very affordable way where we encrypt all your data locally and then upload it to the cloud. Up to 1 petabyte of storage is available, and it's all self-restore. So you simply click on a file system here. This is StorageCamel. It's on Windows or Linux. It looks like a regular folder, and you can copy the results you need in or out of this archive to recover files you may have deleted, or maybe you need to go back to the way a file was a month or two ago in a program to see what had changed. TotalCAE has many other capabilities and advanced options to help you speed up your model. If you would like to have more information on TotalCAE Private Cloud or learn about our public cloud offering for overflow or take and burst activities, please contact us at www.totalcae.com.
Yeah, Okay, so hopefully everyone could hear that, and I think that concludes my presentation here. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to shoot them over. I think TotalCAE has definitely we try and have created a stack that makes it easier to interact with the HPC from the user perspective, and then on the back end from the heavy lifting, all of the IT, updating Converge and the new releases, integrating it from the workflow and also bursting the cloud. We really try and reduce all of the IT barriers that stand in front of you to basically just get your models back faster and meet your deadlines. So that's what we're here to do, is reduce those barriers, make it easier for the users themselves to use the solution, and also for the business to drive get these simulations and make design changes, impact design, without having to have the extreme expertise in the IT CAE space. So that is so I appreciate the time here, Tiffany, and with the Converge team. And please let me know if you have any questions on the WebEx.
Thank you so much, Antonio. Again, I invite you to learn a little bit more about TotalCAE, and again, check back on our events page. We have a couple of other webinars coming up between now and the end of the year. And I guess that concludes our presentation for today. Thank you.